Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be kind of picking up from the last video and taking a look at KPI by Powerviz. I've been meaning to do a video on this visual for a long time, actually. It just kind of got away from me. But really, my last video I pointed out that this is really the only thing in this September release of Power BI that's worth anything, to be quite honest. Um, and it's really a shame compared to everything that is being released for Fabric, if you will. Um, and sorry, I'm going to move this. I don't know if I can. There, remove this sharing thing out of the way because it's annoying me. Anyway, so only thing in this, compared to Fabric, right, where you get this huge long laundry list of stuff. Um, But and I've gotten a few comments about my perspectives on this, like, one, that, well, you're right, Greg, Microsoft should just throw away Power BI and Fabric and just go with the Microsoft Excel. That's not really the point. The point is the dichotomy, just the level of just some amount of balance, right, between Power BI and Fabric, right, which this does a great job of pointing out the total imbalance between the two. Like, can we get a little bit of balance, like some kind of meaningful updates to Power BI while Fabric is going on? Like, can't Microsoft walk and chew gum at the same time, right? I mean, maybe. But the other thing I've gotten is like, well, it makes sense, Greg, because Power BI desktop is such a mature software, and Fabric is so immature. Well, is that really the case? I mean, like Excel, I would consider mature software. 36 years old, right? I'd say it's pretty mature software. Power BI actually is only 9 years old. Power BI Desktop, it was 2015 when it was released. Um, Fabric, actually, if you trace its origins back, actually goes all the way back to 2010 with Parallel Data Warehouse. So 14 years versus 9 years, right? Technically, it should be more mature than Power BI Desktop. But then again, you look at this laundry list of features that are really, a lot of them are just base features. And a lot of them are still in preview, and you realize that even a year after GA, Microsoft Fabric is barely an MVP, maybe even not an MVP, not even a minimally viable product, right? So, I get it. There's a long way to go with Fabric. It doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. But luckily, we have non-Microsoft people that are producing phenomenal content for Power BI and then actually addressing probably the least mature part of Power BI, which are the visuals, which have always been terrible, but have never been really improved. But when people talk about things that are game changing, I've seen some stupid kind of comments like, "Oh my God, TMDL in Power BI Desktop, that's game changing," right? "Oh my God, Power BI, dark mode is game changing." People just throw this word game changing out, just willy nilly. KPI by Powerviz, I would say, I'm not even sure I would use the word game changing. I would definitely use the term revolutionary. Um, and you consider that what this delivers to you basically is, to a certain degree, makes over half of the core Power BI visuals essentially obsolete, right? And to a certain degree, makes custom visual development within Power BI essentially obsolete, right? Provides the ability, because it provides the ability to basically create your own standard visuals that maintain their formatting across reports. You can build up a library of those, share those among like a whole development team, right? Has the power and flexibility of the neb without the code, like zero code, but you basically can do the same types of stuff or even better stuff than what you can do with the neb, and far more easy. Has a searchable icon library with over 2,000 icons, right? That's, icons have been a big thing in Power BI. People, we have Unicode characters, but other than that, kind of stuck with, the colors of those Unicode characters, and anything else for that, you got to go with SVG. Big problem for a long, long time, right? Solves that problem. Has intelligent color schemes, including IBCS support, right? It delivers functionality that Microsoft hasn't been able to deliver for years. They've been working on stuff for years and haven't been able to deliver it. On object formatting, right? No longer in preview with KPI by Powerviz, right? core visuals, Miguel Myers, whoever's been working on that for like 3 years, right? He's delivered basically a card visual and a button slicer. Whoop-de-doo. Basically it's KPI by Powerviz essentially delivers like 20 different visuals, all far better than the core visuals within Power BI. So, I mean, and it even has a smarter dark mode, which just kills me, right? So even with all of that, that's all the things that KPI by Powerviz brings to the table. I'm not even sure I would go with the term game changing. Definitely revolutionary, maybe game changing. All depends on what the adoption happens with this KPI by Powerviz. So hope I haven't oversold this. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this. Now, what this is that we're looking at here is this is the default kind of sample download that you get when you actually go and get the KPI by Powerviz from the store. And the way you do that, of course, is you go to get more visuals. You wait what Power BI thinks for 20 years, right? And then you search in here for KPI by right there by Powerviz, right? So you click on it's by TrueViz. Now I want to make absolutely clear I have no affiliation with TrueViz, right? They are the people that make like Power Optimizer and a bunch of other really cool tools that I really like. But I'm not even a referral. They have a referral program. I'm not a member of that. They have a reseller program. I'm not a member of that. I have zero affiliation with TrueViz in terms of monetary or anything else. I just like their stuff. So this is where you download the sample, right? You get some stuff. Now the one downside to this is it does cost money, right? So basically from 1 to 200 users, it's going to cost you 99 cents a month. But the first month's free, so it's $11, right? And it goes down from there all the way down to 50 cents per user or whatever. So I don't think it's outrageously priced for what it delivers. We'll get into it here. So they have, I'm just going to go through the pages here. Key templates, and just point out some stuff. So they have some really gorgeous templates, right? So you basically can pick, and I'll show you how you do this. You can just pick this template and then just kind of basically say, oh, this field maps to here, this field maps to here, this field maps to here, and boom, you've got a KPI visual. And calling it a KPI visual is sort of like calling Metallica a band, right? Or Led Zeppelin a band, or the Beatles a band, right? It's technically correct, but it so understates what it actually is. Because really this is more than a KPI visual. You can basically create line charts, donut charts, you name it, area charts, all the different chart visuals, like most of the core waterfall charts, all of that stuff you can create. So you don't have to have anything KPI related to it. You can actually just use it to create just a line chart or an area chart or a donut chart or a waterfall chart or you name it, right? Card visual, all of that stuff. So that's what's really impressive about this is that it's basically one visual that you can do basically, half these go away, right? It's just one visual that can do all of it, right? Which is the way it should have been done originally. Like it never made any sense to have like a stack bar, and then like, a clustered bar, and then a 100% stack bar. Like that should all be one visual, and that should just be a setting. Why didn't they do it that way? Well, because the visuals were so crappy in Power BI desktop and so few that they had to make it look like it was better than it was, right? That's my opinion. So again, these color schemes are awesome, right? So here, there's one that really struck me was this sequential, because like Nick Deborah, he has, he shows how using a sequential color palette can really add a lot of meaningful impact into a visual and help people understand it better. He uses it very effectively in his books, Practical Charts and More Practical Charts. It includes default functionality for the IBCS color scheme, right? Has all of this stuff that Microsoft gets kind of promised for years and years and never delivered. It supports some small multiples, only even better, right? So you can have fixed small multiples where everything's the same size, like this, in terms of rows and all of that. Or you can have it fluid, which means that you can actually individually control the size and position of each of the small multiples, right? Something that's way more flexible than anything that small multiples in Power BI has, right? Multiple charts, again, you can combine all kinds of these charts into a single visual. It actually has like 16 layers that you can actually create 16 different layers or groupings. Sort of like Photoshop for Power BI, if you will, right? You can grab all these different layers and build them all up into a single. Now, you're probably saying, well, yeah, you can do that with like, you can basically layer visuals. This is such a better editing experience, and I'll show you a lot of the advantages of it. And again, bar charts, right? You can create all these different kind of bar charts from the bar chart, basic visual that they have, right? Just way more flexible, way better. Everything that you can get within Microsoft's bar charts and column charts. And yes, these are also bar charts, column charts. You can have them on either direction, right? Makes total amount of sense. Would free up a ton of real estate here, right? You have lollipop charts are in here, all different kinds of lollipop charts, all different kinds of line charts, right? Look at, some of this stuff, just gorgeous types of stuff that you can't really do easily within Power BI at all, right? Just completely replaces and upgrades all these core visuals, right? You can do so much more with it. So area charts, waterfall charts, right? You ever seen a vertical waterfall chart in Power BI? Not in the core visuals, I can tell you that. Gradient fills and everything, right? Just amazing stuff. Yeah, obviously you can combine the different charts together, gauge charts. They have these gorgeous fluid, liquid gauge charts, radial charts, linear gauge charts, right? It's almost endless in terms of what this thing capable of doing. And these are just, if you're just using these charts by themselves, not even like combining advanced text with, with bar charts, with the line charts and all of that sort of stuff. Many more features. This is where it gets into, if I can click on the control. So shapes, yeah, they have the shapes, right? They have images, right? You can upload from your computer, base64 URL, from web URL. Icons, 2,000 plus icons, and they're searchable, right? So when you bring up the icon, you can actually search it, and you can make the icons any color you want. So they're just base default icons, but you can provide them any color and any conditional color that you want, right? And obviously, again, IBCS theme support natively and all of that. So that is, in a nutshell, right, what it's sort of most of its capabilities, right? But now you're probably asking, okay, but how easy is it really to use and all of that? And I'll show you that here in a second. So let me get back to the report. Okay, pick a template. That's fine. All right, get rid of that. That was just me messing around. But I'll show you in terms of like how you actually. So this is one that just a real simple one that I put together, and I'll show you how I did it. But the basic concept, right, is you put the KPI on the page. You pick something you can put it anywhere in these things, and then you pick a template, right? And they've got different kinds of templates. Advanced text, radial gauge. Now some of these, like liquid gauge, they don't have any templates within, but the cool thing is, right, you go browse, say okay, takes you out to their website, their KPI template. And here again, they actually have like a liquid gauge, linear gauge templates right here, which you can just click on and download, right? Or copy the JSON, and then you can actually then import it back in here. So you can just say, oh, I can say upload, I could download the JSON, upload it, and now boom, I've got that template, which let's go ahead and just download it. Right, so template 72. So I can say upload template 72. Right, so I could I could pick stuff here, but boom, now I've got that template added into my report. Right, boom, there it is. So that's so cool in terms of what you're able to do with this thing, right? So that's basically the basic concept of how you create the base. And then you can go in and edit it, and it's got on object formatting, right? So I can click on here and I can say edit, right? And then I can actually say, okay, configure the gauge and the bands. And there's an endless amount of stuff to explore with this. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one, which I've already gotten configured. And so basically, you can see over here is I've got certain things in the categories and certain things in values and certain things in sort. So the thing you have to get used to about this is that in like the standard core visuals and most custom visuals, right, these things are hard-coded into positions within the visual. Like if you put something in the x-axis or whatever it is, this is not like that, right? You put in categories, which those are things that can go in the x-axis or in the y-axis, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So basically, you're just putting in fields over that you want to use within the visual, but nothing's been technically classified yet. You actually do that when you edit the visual, and you can actually say, okay, I have this, and I want, well, I don't know what I did there. Let's just do this. Well, let's go ahead and put this value as, so I have a value, select the value. I'm not sure what I clicked on. Sum, sales, apply, 9.7, apply. There it is, 9.7, it's back. I don't know what I did, but as you can see here, I must have hit a space or something and cleared it or something like that. But as you can see, you can on object formatting and all of that sort of stuff is built right in. So basically you select what you want. It does take a little bit of getting used to in terms of that, but again, more options. You can duplicate the layer, move forward, bind data, group, all this type of stuff, right? It's just, it would take me forever to basically explain all the different pieces and parts that are there. You can, I mean, if you are somebody that likes to go in and tinker and make things pixel perfect and make things, look really cool and stuff, this is where you need to be, right? I mean, it's insane in terms of the level of customization that you can get with this stuff. Like, for example, this line graph. This is a line graph, right? And I can say, okay, I want it to be linear or step, and apply it, so you can get some really beautiful effects by using this. Step 4, apply. I mean, just really cool stuff. Obviously, you can control the line style. They have crazy line styles like you wouldn't believe, right? So short dash dot dot, long dash dot, long dash dot dot. Just endless options in terms of to configure this stuff. Here we have like, the color palette, whether you want to use Power BI, IBCS diverging, IBCS, sequential, diverging, qualitative, right? All of this, enable highlighting, enable markers. So we can do this, right? And we can do enable min max type stuff. We can hit apply and boom, there's our maximum right there. It's highlighted, automatically in green in this case, but I could change that if I wanted to, right? I mean, everything in this thing is configurable. I can turn on data labels and series labels and number formatting and all kinds of, control the global formatting as far as the styling. I can control my sort axis. In this case, I did ascending and then my max week number of year, which your normal line chart, you can't really control the sort order unless you do a sort by column. This is way more flexible and way cooler, right? I can do things like turn on deviations, and let's just go ahead and apply, and boom, it shows my deviation, right? Just really cool stuff that you can do. And I'm just barely scratching the surface of any of this, right? This is actually a separate visual. So this is one visual, but it's got multiple different visuals, like this icon, for example, right? I can change the icon if I want the icon to be a different color, right? Or I can control that. I can say I want it to be that color and apply it, apply. Well, there, apply. Apply. There we go. Now it's red, right? So, I mean, and then you can even control like positions and backgrounds and borders and shadows. And I mean, you name it, you can just basically make this thing look however you want it to. You can control like, gradients, like this background on this box right here. Really cool. But then, you get into this stuff where you can actually, so here's where you can add layers, so you don't mess anything up, just like Photoshop or the equivalents, right? So I can get something and have it just the way I want it. I can add a layer, and now I'm not going to screw that other layer up, right? And I can select my layers and configure them over here, right? So it's like on object formatting, but then I also can like pick each individual thing. I can group things together. Like if I want to have all my shape type stuff all grouped together, then I can do that. And then I can even, you can even do this. You can export the group or export a layer, which exports it to a template, right? To a JSON template. And if you're, can either download it or copy it, paste it somewhere or whatever. But this is what gives you basically your own kind of personal custom library of visuals where, again, you don't have to code any of it, right? So it's amazing to me what TrueViz has been able to pull off with this. quite honestly, because they're kind of hamstrung by the custom visual API that Microsoft is. I mean, the thing is old and creaky, and Microsoft's talked about updating it for years and years and years and never delivered on that promise. But it's amazing to me what they've been able to pull off here. So think of this in terms of, you don't have to have all of this stuff. You could just use this for just the line chart and just the functionality of the line chart or the area chart or the bar chart functionality and never use these ever again, right? And just use one visual. So, I mean, if you become I mean, in this visual, it does take some, you got to learn how it works in that. And the documentation isn't great. But if you become a master of this visual, like your reports, in my opinion, will be far better than anything you could produce with native Power BI visuals. And far easier in the long run, far easier than things like using like the neb, or even using trying to figure out all the little custom switches and all the little hacks, like all those hacks that I've been doing with Nick Deborah's practical charts and more practical charts. I almost want to go back and revisit them with this KPI visual and just demonstrate just how much better it is. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the stuff, the kind of hacks and things that I've had to do to get around these custom visuals and that, I won't have to do that with this KPI visual. So anyway, this thing is crazy amazing. I think it's well worth $1 a month. In my opinion, I'm going to be buying it. I can tell you that. I got a month free, but after that, I'm definitely going to be buying this thing for $1 a month and using it extensively and making more videos on it, because what a revolution in terms of this is what is actually mature. Like this is a mature visual, in my opinion, which Power BI does not have. Power BI does not have any mature visuals. Power BI is so mature in the visual department. It's insane to me. But this is what they could have been doing, right? This is what Miguel Myers and those guys, they could have been delivering this, right, in the last 3 years of development time that they've had. And no, I mean, they've given us a new card visual, which sucks in comparison to this. And they've given us a button slicer. And honestly, the TrueViz's slicer that they provide for free, right? This is just one visual. They've got like half a dozen or a dozen visuals that they've developed in this time. And they're all blow the doors off at anything that Microsoft's produced in the visual space for Power BI, in my humble opinion. So that is all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.